In this video, I'm going to break down the exact Slack SOP, the build-out SOP that I use to scale my clients past 100K a month. And what this is going to come down to is, if you're new, if you have been in this online space for a minute in terms of the info space, right? And you haven't quite dialed in your sales systems, either you're doing stuff manually or either you're not fully optimizing your Slack channel. Maybe you just have a Slack to where you guys just communicate and you guys aren't really using it to its full benefit. This is for you. If you have been using it for a while, but you're trying to figure out how to squeeze more money per lead, right? This is for you. And then if you're brand new to this space, this is definitely for you. So getting into this, and also if, for you guys that are new here, my name is Jasmine Bridges. I partner up with online coaches and scale their backend, running their sales, their marketing, and in some cases their communities for them. Or we'll consult people like yourself watching this on how to do these things. That way you can be very profitable in your business, make a lot of money, and have a killer sales team and killer back end and just great all around, right? So getting into it, first thing that you want to do when if you're not familiar with Slack, you want to go ahead and create a Slack account. Get a free account. You don't need anything else in that. You don't need the pro version. It's going to try to get you. It's a new client that I'm working with right now. We're currently building out all of this. This is why I'm making this video. You don't need the pro version for right now. When you get to a point to where you're making, over 100K, I would suggest to upgrade at that point, because you're just going to be allowed to do a little bit more things, but it's totally not necessary even when you're past 100K a month. With that being said, go ahead and create all the channels, right? So you can just see here, I have all the different channels built out, but now you need to know the reasons behind each channel and the automation that go inside each channel for you to be able to really squeeze and milk every lead and for things to flow properly, right? Which is why I have this SOP. For you guys that don't know what SOP is, a standard operational procedure. It's the same thing to where, if you grew up working in a fast food restaurant, they had SOPs put maybe in front of the walk-in or hanging on the door somewhere behind the manager's door, whatever, office door. That's what it is. It's SOPs. You should apply the same thing to your business. You have an SOP for literally every single thing, and we have a SOP pretty much for everything, right? That's how we are able to operate, and that's how we're able to literally hire and just give them the SOP, and that way they can execute. So, but anyway, going back to the point, right? So creating a channel. I'm going to go ahead and just hop into the channels. So first thing, we have opt-ins, or we have qualified opt-ins, like how I have for this guy. I have qualified opt-ins just because I've just realized sometimes people just need to be a little bit more clear. But opt-ins mean, opt-ins, and I'll get into the meanings of that. So these are the channels. Now, what my tech stack includes for the automation part, and this is just agreements included, but Calendly for our scheduling tool, Slack for here, Typeform for applications, Zapier for our automation tool, and then we use Pentadoc for agreements. All right, so going into everything in terms of how it would make sense the most. First two channels we're going to go over are the qualified opt-ins and the DQ opt-ins. Now, what is an opt-in? An opt-in is a person that has completed the application form and, in this case, going to be qualified, but has not yet booked a call. Now, it's not someone who has applied and booked. That's a sales call event, right? It's someone, and it's not simply someone who dropped contact info on a landing page, because we care about that, but that's when you want to get super, super granular. And that's not the point of this, because you shouldn't be focusing on the non-important thing. You should be focusing on the things that really move the lever, right? When you're growing your business and when you're launching your offer, et cetera. So an opt-in is someone that they completed the application form, but for some reason, they didn't book a call. Now, for this offer specifically, right, when we're in Typeform, we have a partial submit point. So pretty much the way I ask these questions is on the form. After one question, a specific question that I ask when I'm qualifying for seriousness, budget, and timeline. If you need more advice on what that is, right, I have a lot of videos on my page that go over seriousness, budget, and timeline, SPT, which is pretty much what you want to, bare minimum, address in an application. But going back to the opt-in, why we have this channel is because the fact that if someone is qualified and they don't book a call, that's still a lead, especially when we're on paid ads. It's still a lead that we either worked hard for through organic or we spent our money on, right? And for some reason they didn't book a call. Maybe, they were driving, maybe whatever the case is, or maybe they just got lazy towards the end, which is why you don't want to make your application super, super long either. But anyway, so with this being said, they went through here. So how we do it for this offer is we actually have a partial submit point. right after the first qualifying question that we ask. We ask different questions, but then we ask one qualifying question specifically, and then we have a partial submit point. After that partial submit point, we then have it to where we have a 5-minute delay. And then after that 5-minute once that 5-minute delay starts, if they haven't booked a call within 5 minutes, they automatically pop up into this qualify opt-ins channel, right? Because pretty much you want to give people time to fill out the application and book a call. You don't want to bombard people as they're going through it. Speedily, yes, is great. But stuff like that used to work. But now, as the time of me filming this 2026, the more and more you agitate people, the more they're going to get frustrated with you, and the more that you're going to push them away actually from being excited about the journey, going along with you. So I highly advise not to give them the waiting period of 5 minutes. And then from there, and that's how you're going to set up the workflow when you go into, your Zapier, right? Have a 5-minute delay or whatever you're using for your automations before it pops up here in the channel. That's for qualified. Now, next thing, and just walking you through, right? This is a quick run through. If you guys want the Slack build-out SOP, just DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is at jbridgesscales. So JBRIDGESSCALES. DM me on Instagram. I'll send you over the SOP because you are taking the initiative to actually watch this full video, right? And that means something. So that's pretty much that, right? But yeah, in Typeform, you'll have the logic set up to where it shoots these leads to a certain Zap, and then from Zap, you'll create the Zap new entry. So when the application form, if they select a certain answer, that's when the trigger will go to, qualify, and then from there to go to this channel. You can call it opt-ins or you can call it qualified opt-in, whatever you want. And then it's just typically like the formatting of it, or you can have the formatting a different way. I typically have it line by line. This is just an example, but I have it like line by line. I say, maybe new qualified opt-in, their name, then their the date, their phone number, their email, maybe or not. And then I might have the 1 or 2, like the qualifying questions that I like to stick out for on the application. And then that way the setter can have enough information that they need to actually get them on a book call, right? And that's pretty much that. Same rule applies for the DQ opt-ins, right? So DQ opt-ins are going to be in this channel, and I do have a lock on certain channels, and I have certain channels unlocked. Now for this client specifically, I'm running everything for them. I'm doing the sales, the marketing, and some partial the fulfillment, like the back-end ops, right? So I have a little bit of everything in here, new clients and stuff like that. And then the fulfillment, that we are taking care of that somewhere else. But when it comes down to Slack, you want to use it for mostly, sales, and sometimes you can use it for other things as well too, but I'm a little bit OCD, so I kind of like to keep things a little bit separate. But anyway, so for DQ opt-ins, these are people who aren't your ideal client, right? So for example, on an application, you might have, even if they have one question that strikes a red flag, you still want to send them over to this channel because you need to qualify them a little bit more on why they put that specific answer. And you want to verify. The reason why, another thing too, right? Some people just let DQ and don't even allow them to make it to a sales call. The reason why I don't do that is because of the fact that I've seen that there's money in the DQ people. That's why you have an offer tier, to where you're not just selling 1 or 2 offers. You have an offer tiers, and that way they can go ahead and they can buy that lower tier offer. But of course, these individuals aren't going to make it to a book call because they're not qualified. Unless for some reason when we get on that qualifying call with them, we realize something different, which is why, again, I let them go ahead and go through the process. I just don't send them to a booking page. Just go to a confirmation page, a different one, right? So that's how you can go around that process and have a sales team in place to where they know, okay, this is a DQ lead, pop up in here, and now we're going to call these people as well too. Right? Not just qualified people, the DQ people too, because maybe they have the finances, but they said that they're not willing to move forward right now. Or maybe they don't have the finances on paper, but they were interested for everything else that it qualifies. Maybe we have a $5,000 program, but we could have something for $497 that we could sell to them. And then that's when you have your setters go ahead and dial these people and sell them your mid ticket or your low ticket, because of the fact that money can still be made. Right? These down sells, these DQ opt-ins could be liquidated in your ad spend, which is why, again, I don't throw them out to the wolves. I like to keep them because that's just what it is. And typically, on another like pro tip is when you're onboarding reps, you can actually, when your setters, you can have them start off with the DQs just to get warm and get a good fit of everything to where, they're not like typically wasting the good leads, but at the same time, they're, it's a learning experience. So you can kind of give them these leads first, and then you can move them to the qualified opt-ins. But that's pretty much that same rules applies, DQ logic, and then the automation from there. Okay. So now we have the sales call channel, which is going to be this channel right here. Super straightforward. Anytime a call gets booked, it populates in here. Now, if you're under 100K a month, you're probably using something like GHL for your scheduling tool. I personally recommend Calendly, and I'll tell you why I recommend Calendly. I'm not endorsed by them whatsoever. I don't really care if you use my, I don't even know they have affiliate links. But for Calendly, I say this time and time again, what it does is their emails and notifications, it hits the primary inbox. Sometimes with GHL, it doesn't hit the primary inbox. So you run into this issue of people not getting their invitations, not getting the emails, not getting the pre-call material, all because we didn't use, better software, because we chose to be cheap and not want to use the better tech stack, right? So that's what I would say. Take the extra step, get Calendly, for calls, or you can just have a dialed in pre-call process for your closers to where they're sending off reminders and they're establishing that connection with the prospect. That way they show up as well too, and it increases your close rate. So either way you want to do it, but I like Calendly because it just, first off, I'm a little bougie, and so I like anything that looks anything better and more sleek. Second, and so are my clients. And then second, again, like how I said, from a sales perspective, it still hits their main inbox, which can increase your show rate for your calls. And the more people you get to show, the more money you can make, right? If your marketing is super dialed in. But that's pretty much that. So you create a Zap. The Calendly will be on a round robin. And then from there, you'll add the action. The Slack will send out the channel a message. Channel will go to the sales call channel, book calls, whatever you want to call it. And then from there, make sure that it's tagging the Slack and it's a round robin. You want to make sure same thing with the opt-ins. Your setters are on a round robin and they're being tagged, because if they're not tagged, how they're going to know that the lead pops up in the channel? They're not going to know. So same thing applies there. Sales calls, and then always test out your actions. Always do a run through with these automations. So test it out, make sure everything works before you go live with it. Now, the agreements, it's going to be this channel. So in the agreements, I think it's done a lot of different ways, but the way that it should be done is for leads to pop up in here once they get the agreement sent out and once the agreement has been signed. It should populate in that channel, right? Now, I use PandaDoc. You can use the GHL agreement tool. You can use whatever agreements that you use, DocuSign, whatever the case is, right? But I use PandaDoc. I like how it works, everything about it. Cool. Now, with that being said, PandaDoc plus Zapier and route it to Slack. Okay, so this is the channel to where all your agreements go. Once they get sent out, once they sign, you want to have an agreement for your coaching program in order to really, the purpose of it, straightforward, is to fight potential chargebacks, disputes, refunds, things like that when they do happen, right? Because you have a dialed in agreement. And if you do have a strong guarantee on that agreement, typically you want to have a lot of circumstances or situations that are like requirements that they have to meet in order to qualify for that guarantee, right? Let's just say like a money back guarantee, but they would have needed to show up for 80% of the coaching calls. And typically people aren't showing up for that. So that's how you get away with that a little bit. My guarantee is a little bit different because, but that's pretty much a little bit extra information, food for thought. But yeah, with the agreements right here, you want to go ahead and set it up to where Zapier creates a Zap, trigger, PandaDoc, document state changed. And then from there, document sent is a status. This can be another formatting, but again, I do mine line by line, but this can be an example for you. And then after that, we use Close CRM. That's just a CRM that I prefer. And then, you can go ahead and when you are setting up your stages, I'm not going to get too deep into this part right here, but just know when it comes to Slack, you'll just go ahead and have the action set up to where you want to update the pipeline stage in your CRM. And then from there, you can test out the Zap. The Zap number 2 that I like to create is when the agreement gets signed. And that's pretty much, creating a Zap, sending the channel message, testing out that. And then from there, that's how it goes, right? So that's the agreements. the agreement Slack channel. Sorry, it's been a late day for me. And that's pretty much explaining that what happens in here. Now, the reason why you have the opt-ins, you have the qualify opt-ins, DQ opt-ins, you're seeing how this makes sense now, because other than that, you're probably just going to be in your CRM, but you're not going to be, you're going to lose out on the speed to lead. Speed to lead is super important. You're not going to know when you have to respond to leads, and the rule of thumb is 5 minutes or less. I mean, the sooner the better, but 5 minutes or less for a speed to lead to make sure that you are cracking down on leads and you're making sure that they show up for the call and that they're going to close, right? So anything that you can do in your power to make sure that this happens, you want to do it. And so that's why you have Slack to do it, and you have these different channels built out. Agreements is going to help for just a business welfare point of view, right? You want to make sure that people sign the agreements, that they sign it, and that you are notified when they do sign it, and to where they get properly onboarded, which leads me to something that I'll get into later. But that's pretty much that. Closes. You want to know when you close a deal, right? And then also this keeps team morale up. Whenever they see a close, people get motivated. People also get motivated to do better and to be more competitive, because it's like, dang, I didn't close the deal today, and the other person closed the deal. It makes you think about things. So that's also another thing is to look at as well too. So when a deal closes, have that in there, and you can have proper tracking set up too. But pretty much what you do for this is going to connect your payment processor. For this client, we're using Fanbases, ClickFunnels, and WAP, but you can go ahead and connect whatever you need to. And it's going to be the same type of thing. And then from there, new sale, right? Test the trigger, send the channel message is the action that you'll select. And then from there, it's going to go to this channel closes, or whatever you want to call it. And then that's pretty much, a cute little message you can play if you want to. And what I like to do as well is update it in the CRM, what stage you're going to. And that's pretty much that. And the reason why I said build for scale is like what you can do is also having that channel like, hey, or you can have it route to a different channel as well too. But because this channel and the team that we're bringing on, we like everything is dialed in, we can go ahead and put this stuff in this channel. But yeah, you can have another channel like failed payments or chargebacks or whatever, like things like this if you want to as well too. And you can just build it out the same way. But now getting into the next point I was mentioning earlier, right? When the agreements is signed. So what we do for this specific client, and if you are running the operations and the onboarding ops for, let's say, maybe a client that you're helping out, or you, for instance, right, you're building out your own Slack channel. New clients is a channel that I like to have because of the fact that you're able to track these things. And from an onboarding point of view, onboarding, like it's like, they say you lose the sale before the sale. So that's another, but you also lose the sale during the onboarding. People overlook that all the time. So you want to make sure the onboarding is super smooth, because after someone has paid $5,000, $10,000, whatever, they're looking for a smooth onboarding process because they want to feel still excited about what they're doing, right? So want to make sure the onboarding is cool. So it's like either you're over communicating with them about what's going on, or you're going to hit them with speed, one or two things, right? And so why not do both though? So when that happens to where when they sign in the agreements channel, now we're going to go ahead and receive an automation to where as soon as they sign it, now it moves to stage and close. And now that also notifies Slack to how it's going to pop up here. And then that's how we have it set up for this client specifically. And so they pop up in this channel, and then it tags the onboarding specialist. The onboarding specialist then knows to call them. And then that's how that goes, right? So that's that part right there. Or you can have it to where it triggers some type of automation. You can use it. You can use Slack in all types of ways, right? But that's just one example. So yeah, that's a new clients channel. It's very straightforward. It's just where new clients go. And then after that, EOD, super, super important. If you want the whole EOD blueprint, EOD means in a day, right? In a day reports. Typically, we have that at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can do it at 6, which is another time that I've seen. You can do it whatever time you want to, but we do it for the offers that I run at 5 p.m. And then what you're going to use for this is, I use Typeform. You can use Google Form. You can use whatever you want to use, but have it to where you have some type of form that they're going to fill out. And then from there, automation tool is Zapier. We use Slack, of course, how we're going over. Now, just to go over quickly what are in the EOD forms for closers, setters, things like that, right? But pretty much what happens is, let me just see if I can actually show an example. So yeah, in this EOD channel, because we're currently in the midst of setting up everything, but pretty much it fires off at 5. And it just says time for EOD reports. Hey, team, up in a day, please take 2 minutes to enter your numbers. And then it goes closer EOD, DM setter EOD, phone setter EOD, right? So it goes like that. And then that way they are notified every single day. There's no reason whatsoever that the EODs don't get filled out, So that's pretty much this channel. But going through what the purpose of these are really quickly, you want to make sure that everyone is filling out the data necessary so from a sales management point of view, you can track things properly. You can't track if you don't know what's going on. And you can't, and then also you don't want to be writing down every single thing or tracking everything yourself. Sales team people they can do that. Sales reps can do that, right? So typically on the closer form, I have number of book calls, number of follow-up calls booked, number of no shows, number of calls completed, number of qualified calls when we offer. I only do this in the beginning where we're testing out offers just to make sure that marketing is super dialed in. And after that, I get rid of this question because if they're not closing deals after we've already validated the marketing, then that's the sales problem. It's not really a marketing problem. And then number of closes, cash collected, big wins, need help. How do you feel 1 to 10? Now, typically, I put certain questions in a separate channel called EOD reports, and then that way they can see that it keeps the competitive spirit environment up because of the fact that they're able to see what the other sales rep is doing in terms of performance, and now it makes them motivated to do better because the information is public and everybody knows. Now, phone setters, number of outbound dials, number of calls booked, number of downsells closed, super, super important. That's why I was saying you want to have multiple tiers to your offer because when it comes down to, those DQ opt-ins, they should be closing those downsells, right? Or a percentage of those. And then cash collected, big wins, need help. How do you feel 1 to 10? I typically like to ask this, how do you feel question because it just gives me a good range of where they're at. If they're typically at a 3 or something like that, I immediately want to get on a call with them and see what's going on. Why isn't your spirit high? Things like that. DM setters, number of inbound DMs, number of outbound DMs, number of follow-up DMs. This is just because I get super granular. I want to maximize the freak out of everything. So you don't have to have this question, but that's just me. And I have a outbound tracker going over stuff like that too. But anyway, number of calls booked. Typically you want your ABR to be anywhere from 1 to 3%. That shows that you have, a healthy booking rate. ABR is appointment booking rate. 1 to 3% is healthy. Meaning that, if they did 100 DMs, then 1 to 3 people should at least book at the very least. But that's like average results. Number of downsells closed. You can close down, you can close lower tier offers in the DMs as well too. And then cash collected, big wins, need help. How do you feel 1 to 10? Very, very, straightforward. How do you set it up? Zapier, create the Zap, trigger, type form, new entry, the EOD form for that role, test the trigger, Slack, send a message. Most of these are just sending a message, like the action is send a message. And then from there, this is the format that you can put it in. And then you can go from there, or you can have it to where it's only pointing out certain questions. For me, my clients, I just have it point out specific things because it really doesn't matter to have all this different information. But I always make sure that I have a spreadsheet connected to these forms. So in type form, I'll go ahead and make sure I connect the Google Sheet to where I'm able to look at it like that as well too, on top of, building out sales dashboards for the offers that I'm on and things like that too. But that's pretty much that. And then we have live calls. Super, super important, highly overlooked. I get why people don't have this, but I'm like, dude, come on, you're missing out. So typically what happens is you might have a lead. It's Wednesday right now, I'm filming this, right? You might have a lead that books for Friday, but they say, you call them, you triage them. They seem super, super excited. Let's get them on the call for today. Let's do it today. And the live calls channel, because I like to keep things super organized, in the live call channel, we go ahead and we call them as usual, right? And if they say they're ready right now, we can go ahead and get them on the call later on tonight. So in that live calls channel, we're going to say, hey, at closers, right? Or at Jonathan, at Mary, at Sam, right? All the different closers on the offer. Who's available for a call at 5 p.m. today? Type of thing, right? The person is ready. And then from there, whoever grabs it first, right? And that's how that goes. So that's pretty much the live calls channel. No automation in here, but it's just like, hey, you want to have something separate. Sales team channel, all right? So for the sales team channel, you're going to have to where it's like, only purpose is just to where the setters and closers are together. I know you're probably thinking why do I have a setters only channel? Why do I have a closers only channel? I'm going to get to that. But in this channel, I just want to communicate to both the setters and the closers. And only in this channel should be urgent team-wide changes or, Q&A or, if another rep has a question, they are not going to ask it to you directly. They're going to ask it in this chat because another rep might have that same question. Unless it's personal, then, they can ask, of course, you privately. But if it's not, you want to make sure that they ask it in here because others probably have that same question. Not everyone learns for future reference. So The reason why I say only urgent is because you want to make sure your salesforce are able to focus on the task at hand every single day and not focusing on different updates or whatever, especially if it's not going to really move the needle on that day. So keep non-urgent updates, wins, and changes for daily meetings. Typically, I like to have my daily meetings every single day, like every weekday, of course, and then go from there. So that's that. Setters only. Now you're getting to a point to where, okay, you understand why I said earlier, right? Sales team, okay, for company, not company-wide, but sales team-wide urgent updates. Setters only is like, okay, if you need to talk to setters about something, maybe their speech lead is a little bit off. Maybe you need to talk, maybe you need to have a emergency meeting with the setters because you're seeing something that's going on with the setting team. Whatever the case is, you have that setters only channel for just them. And that way you're not bothering the closers because I'm not going to say bother, but why am I going to, notify the closers of something that has nothing to do with them? It doesn't make sense to me, right? You're going to make sure that everyone can stay as focused and dialed in as possible, and vice versa for the closers only channel, which I have over here, right? Closers only, setters only, same thing, but you just want to make sure that you add in everyone. So, and how you add people to, just hopping into this real quick, is just hover over the channel, you add people, and you create you add it to here, and you're able to go ahead and type in their name, and then you add them, right? So that's how you can do that. But yeah, that's the closers only channel, such as only. Then general is typically going to be something to where it's like, okay, the way I have it set up in here is company-wide updates, so not just the sales team, then the fulfillment team and stuff like that too. Plus, you can also have when new members join. I have it in here, so I have both it go to the same channel, and then you can go from there, and then or you can keep it separate, company-wide updates and the general, and then new members in here as well. Or when people have birthdays, holidays, things, just different things like that, you can have them in general. Just keep overall company morale up. The new members, new team member joins the team, you can have it in here. You can say welcome to the team, something like that, whatever you want to do. And that's pretty much that, right? So before you go live with your offer, make sure that you have all of these channels, whether it's 12, 13, whatever the case is, and make sure that they're all functioning. Make sure you have all of the back-end automation set up. Test drive it, especially with the DQ opt-ins and the qualify opt-ins. Make sure that you have all automation set up, and make sure that you run through it a few times. That way you can make sure it's super dialed in, and then from there, you'll be good to go. All right, now for more videos like this, just continue to watch the video, subscribe down below. But if you are looking for, hey, Jasmine, I want my Slack channel built out for me, right? It's a little bit too complicated. Just build it out for me. Just scroll down below, book a call with me down below. If you want me to personally help you scale your business when it comes to your offer, refining your offer, auditing your sales team, partnering up with your sales manager, helping you guys, consulting you guys, building out these things for you, scroll down below, book a call with me or my team, and then I'll happily be able to help you with all of this and make sure that you can grow your business. See you guys in the next video.